Hi everybody, this is Dr. Bricker here. This is just a short intro video for Physics 220 lab. So what you see is this is what it looks like for me anyway, for bright space. And I'm going to go through the bright space part for the lab portion of the class and just kind of go through the syllabus. We don't have a lab this first week, but I just kind of wanted to show you where this is located. Okay, so you obviously have different classes than me. I'm going down here to the lab course. As you see, this is your lecture part of the class. There's a bright space course for that. This is the lab, so I've got to find the lab here. And Physics 220 lab, I can select this. Let me do this as a learner. So this is the course home for Physics 220 lab. And I sent you an announcement earlier today. Welcome to Physics 220 lab. Just letting you know we don't have a lab this first week. You do have a course lecture this week, which is synchronous, so make sure that you attend that. Okay, and what I wanted to kind of go through was the syllabus. So if you come up here to content, you'll see that there's a link here for syllabus. And let me make it larger. So I am Dr. Glenn Bricker, Associate Professor of Physics. I got my PhD from Purdue West Lafayette maybe 11 years ago now. And I'm usually on the Westville campus, and I'm teaching the Physics 220 virtual labs this semester. So required material, there are no required material. Next week I will be, probably end of this week, I'll post a video about the first actual lab, how that works. It's on something called Pivot Interactives, so it's a completely online lab that you'll perform. Now, if you want to meet me, just send me an email. Here's my email address, gbricker@pnw.edu, and we can set up a virtual appointment. Okay, so usually there's no set time where you come to lab at a certain time and we do it online that way. It's going to be assigned at the beginning of the week. You'll have all week to work on it. I make videos kind of walking you through it, and then you work on it on your own time, finish it before the due date. Any questions, let's set up a Zoom meeting and we can talk about it. Okay, so you have my email here. You know that it's asynchronous. You'll work on it on your own time. No lab the first week again. Okay, so we'll have about 10 labs or so through something called Pivot Interactives. And there will be a course code for that, and before the first lab I will give you that code. I don't want to give you too much information in the beginning of the semester. So the point of this video is just to kind of show you where things are located and make you aware of the bright space course, things like that. Okay, so more coming about Pivot Interactives. Now you do have to pass the lab. You have to pass the lab with at least 70%. If you don't pass the lab with 70%, you fail the entire course. The easiest way to fail lab is not to do the labs, so make sure that you do the labs. Okay, labs are 20% of your overall grade, so it's a pretty big chunk. And I'm hopefully everybody does pretty well on it. Again, as long as you do the labs, you'll do well on them, and I'm here to help you with that. There's a schedule attached, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. So lab reports are generally due about a week after they're assigned. There's a couple where you actually have 2 weeks. One of them is because of Martin Luther King Jr. week, where it's kind of a short week, so you'll have 2 weeks to finish the first lab. We'll take a look at the schedule in just a minute. And that actually happens with one other lab as well. Okay, so late submissions are not accepted. So keep that in mind too. Okay, and you work on these individually. Now, you have colleagues in your class. You could ask for help, kind of work things out like that, but the lab that you do is your own work. Okay. And I understand that sometimes the internet goes out. You just things like that. So let me know, keep me in the loop, and we can work on that. I don't recommend waiting until 1 hour before the lab is due, starting it then. Something happens to the internet. I can see through Pivot when you have been working on it, how long you've spent on it, and things like that. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. So usually the way I'll communicate with you is through announcements, and I'll let you know, okay, lab whatever it is, lab 2 is up. I'm just giving you an example. You have a week to complete it. Here's a video walking you through it, that sort of thing. So more information will be coming on that. Okay, so check Brightspace regularly. Look at your email. Make sure that you have your notifications set up. So I send out announcements. Hopefully you have notifications on Brightspace set up, and you can take a look at that. We'll look at that in just a moment as well. So here's a tentative lab schedule. This week is just an introduction. Next week we will begin Lab 1, and then you'll have all the way through to week 3, the end of week 3 to finish it. So this takes a couple of weeks. It doesn't really take a couple of weeks, but you don't have class on Monday. That's why I set it up like this. During week 4, we'll do the second lab. Week 5, the third lab. And these labs go hand in hand with what you're doing in class, so I think you're going to get a lot out of them. Now this is exam week, week 6, so there's no lab this exam week. And that's really the first little bit more than a third of the class. And then we have lab 4, 5, 6, spring break, come back from spring break, lab 7, exam week, finish up lab 7. So you have a couple of weeks to do that one, basically because it's sandwiched around an exam and it's a little bit longer of a lab. Week 8, and then to be announced. We'll see what we'll do with this, which would be lab 9. Okay, and then no lab during dead week. So please note that while lecture is held synchronously, so you actually meet at a certain time for that, lab is not like that. I assign the lab at the beginning of the week. I post a video describing how to do it, and then you're kind of on your own, work on it. You might have questions, send me an email, we can work on it that way. Okay, as far as notifications go, let me go back. If you pick your name up here, notifications, make sure that you have these turned on. I just get it through email, but you could get it through something called Go. So you could have this app on your phone. I get it sent through emails and instant notifications. So you have got to have these set to get notifications. So probably the ones that you would want it to definitely get are announcements. So make sure that you have the announcements checked. It's a good idea, I think, to just log in at least every day and see if anything new is going on with the course anyway. Okay, you have my email address in the syllabus. No lab this first week, and be on the lookout for more information, for next week for the beginning of the first lab. Okay, send me an email and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.